my inspiration working at NASA and what movies of science fiction inspired me. Part of what has inspired me is I can name three. Star Trek. Star Trek inspired me because it was not the technology, it was the social change. It was people working together at a higher ideal. They never talked about an economy, but they hinted that knowledge was more your economy within the Star Trek world. And the equality of the races all working together and overcoming the challenges of technology versus the human side. You know, the battles between Spock and McCoy. So I was inspired by that, all put in the setting of space. Next was Dune, reading all the books and the movie, because Dune, yet they were in the future, but at the same time they rejected technology. So there had come a point where technology had backfired and technology was outlawed to some degree. I'm going to make it 4. The present Battlestar Galactica still is awesome today, but the number one thing that inspired me was Carl Sagan's Cosmos. When that came out in 78 and 79 on public television, there were no VCRs. I had a cassette tape recorder, and I put a cassette tape recorder and I recorded on audio tape every episode that came out on KCT. There was no VCRs. Nobody had them in their homes at that time. But I would listen to those tapes in my car. I'd listen to those tapes on the beach. And I didn't know where JPL was. But he talked about JPL a lot in Cosmos. And I told my wife at the time, wherever JPL is, I'm going to make my career and I'm going to work there at Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Lo and behold, I was attending a science briefing and 3 seats from me was Carl Sagan. And I didn't have the nerve to approach him. But later on, JPL has a mall area. It was midday, nobody was there. He was walking, I was walking, and so we intercepted each other. And I told him that it was because of Cosmos. We sat down and talked for over an hour. And I told him about my inspiration to join because of Cosmos. He reached out, shook his hand with a tear in his eye, and he said, "Thank you very much," because he was going through a very hard time in the science community for putting himself out there and popularizing space. I told him this is something I want to do too. And so that's not my main mission. My main mission is to be involved in the technical side, doing the problem reporting for spacecraft, doing the virtual worlds. You know, I'm right there with the engineers that are getting us to Mars, getting us to. We put a spacecraft through the rings of Saturn, and it lived. You know, we're bringing back information from places no man has ever gone before, and that's the mantra of Star Trek. So I'm doing that job.
And what do you see yourself doing 5 years from now? What do you hope? What are your aspirations and dreams and visions for yourself and for the space program in the future?
What I see for myself in 3 or 4, even 5 years from now is, well, first and foremost, I'm a human being, not a human doing. So I define myself what I like to be, and I like to be a kind, generous man and participate with my wife, and we have horses and go ride horses and all that. What I'm going to be doing, I hope, is continue working at the forefront of space technologies, especially in evangelizing this virtual world. I really do think this will save us millions of dollars. But not only that, not just saving money, it's also delivering the science like Carl Sagan did. It's being able for me to put into your hands Mars Victoria crater, and you can walk and have a picnic on a virtual crater, or explore Valles Marineris, or explore Venus in ways we can't never ever go there. If we could send a remote probe first and scan the data into a virtual world, then send an avatar, then send a robotic probe, then send humans, I think it's a natural progression, because then we can remotely explore that. And the data is no longer limited to our hands here at NASA. We now can share it with you. We can now say, hey, here's Mars. Come along, take your avatar. Another aspect too is the astronauts themselves who are going to Mars. They're going to be disconnected from mankind for 2 years or more. What if we have some technical challenges to overcome, especially the speed of light? We may not be able to overcome that. But what if they were able to participate with their families within a virtual world, using their avatars to have Thanksgiving dinner, using their avatars for a press briefing so we can meet with them. And when they step off the spacecraft, we could be there in grandstands in the virtual world waiting for them. So these are my dreams and visions that I hope I have a chance to unleash upon the world. And I'm not the only one. Thousands of people within NASA are on the same quest, on the same dream. And NASA Collab, run here at Ames, is a reaching out to private industry and professional partners and private citizens and collaborating in some of that. At JPL Explorer Island, people can come into Second Life at Explorer Island, and they can see Mars Victoria Crater. They can see some of the spacecraft that are there. They can actually push buttons and watch our robotic spacecraft unfold as they fold out in space. The project manager, Don Sweetnam of the Genesis project, built the Genesis module. And the Genesis, this is a perfect example. The Genesis module came in hot from outer space. The parachute didn't open, and it thunked into the Utah desert out there. And the last thing you heard on CNN was, Genesis has crashed, and the mission is lost. That's not true. Yes, it crashed, but the mission's not lost. We've been able to recover a major percentage of the science data that was held within the capsule. And so now it's been hard for us to get that out. Oh, by the way, we got science data from Genesis. Oh, Genesis, that's the one that crashed, right? No, we're getting data out. And so the project manager in his quest to get this information out went into Second Life as another means to advertise it. And he tells the story there, and he shows how the capsule opens and how it was protected on the inside. So,
wow,
neat stuff.
Yeah. So, the invitation, and would you invite people to come visit you in Second Life?
I would love to invite everybody to come into the virtual worlds and into Second Life to see it. The Second Life main grid is 18 and older. So if major parental guidance is needed, because it is our test bed. It is a virtual world that is open to adults. There is a teen grid, and we've started doing some NASA work there. But right now, our major test bed is Explorer Island and Collab Island inside Second Life. So once you log on and you create your character, do a search for Explorer Island. You'll find it. You'll teleport just like you do in Star Trek. You'll teleport from place to place, and then come see our exhibits, our tours, participate within our meetings. Every Tuesday at 1 p.m. we have an open NASA meeting to the public, and the public can come in and sit in and see what we're talking about in the virtual.
Tuesday 1 p.m. West Coast time.
Tuesday 1 p.m. Second Life time, which just so happens to be West Coast time. It's called SLT.